Our first puppeteer is Jayla Sky Hanson.
I was born Chloe Wofford in 1931 in Lorain, Ohio. As a child, I had a joy for reading and read every chance I had. I attended Howard University and Cornell University. I received my first writing job as an editor for New York Random House. I began writing fictional poetry as a hobby. But one of my poems was liked so much, it was developed as a Nobel Prize, The Bluest Eye. As time went on, and I became a well-known novelist and editor, I changed my name to Tony and to the last name Morrison from my husband. I have won so many awards for my writing, including a Nobel Prize. I am Toni Morrison.
We now have a song by Tanisha Porter. Tanisha, we'll just help you. Won't we help you?
So I'm really getting this out really very myself right now. And bear with me, I'm kind of in my voice, so okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on me, and I know He watches me. Someone's good there.
Come on, teacher, let's do this.
His eye is on
I was the 20th of 22 children, but the road to victory was not easy for me. I was stricken with polio as a child. I had problems with my left leg, and I had to wear a brace. It was with great determination and the help of physical therapy that I was able to overcome the disease as well as resulting physical disabilities. Growing up in the South, before segregation was outlawed, I attended an all-black school, Burke High School, where I played on the basketball team. I was a naturally gifted runner. I was soon recruited to train Tennessee State University track coach Ed Temple. In high school, I was nicknamed Skeeter for my famous speed and qualified for the 1956 Summer Olympic Games in Melbourne, Australia. The youngest member of the U.S. team of age 16, I won a bronze medal in a sprint relay event. The youngest member of the team was me, and after finishing high school, I enrolled at Tennessee State University. I studied education and also trained hard for the next Olympics. It was held in Rome, Italy in 1960. Olympic Games were a golden time for me. After settling a world record of 11.3 seconds in a 100-meter dash for the semifinals, I won the 100 in the final round with a time of 11 seconds. Similarly, I broke the Olympic record for the 200-meter dash, 23.2 seconds. In the semifinals, before winning the 200 in 24 seconds, in the final, I was also part of the U.S. team that beat the world record for the 4x100-meter relay, 44.4 seconds. In the Olympic semifinals, before winning the relay in the final for 44.5 single seconds. Most notably, I became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals. As a first-class sprinter, I instantly became one of the most popular athletes in the Rome Games, as well as an international superstar, lauded around the world for groundbreaking achievements. Throughout the 60s, I was remembered as one of the fastest women in track. As a source of great inspiration for generations of African American athletes, I once said, "Winning is great, sure, but if you're really born to do something in life, the secret is learning how to lose. Nobody goes undefeated all the time. If you can pick up after a crushing defeat and go on to win again, you're going to be a champion someday." In 2004, the United States Postal Service honored me, the Olympic champion, by featuring me on the 23-cent stamp. My name is Wilma Goldine Rudolph, and I overcame my adversities.
We will now have our next volunteer, Chandler Robinson.
Good morning. I was born December 7, 1942 in Baltimore, Maryland, and grew up in a middle-class neighborhood. I won a football scholarship to Virginia State College, graduating with a degree in economics in 1965 from Harvard Law School. In 1968, I was a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. I was later recruited to the New York law firm immediately after law school. After 15 years as a corporate lawyer with my own practice, I moved to the other side of the table by creating TLC Group, a venture capital firm, in 1983. My first major deal was the purchase of McCall Pattern Company, a home sewing pattern business, for $22.5 million. I learned from Fortune magazine article that the S-Mark Holding Company, which had recently purchased Norton Simon, planned to divest the McCall Pattern Company and make a home sewing pattern founded in 1870. I managed to negotiate the price down and raise $1 million from family and friends and borrow the rest from institutional investors and investment banking firm First Boston Corporation. Within 1 year, I turned the company around by freeing up the capital tied in fixed assets, such as building machinery, finding new use for machinery during downtime, and manufacturing greeting cards. I started to recruit managers from rival companies. I further strengthened McCall by emphasizing new product introductions. This new combination led to the company's most profitable year in its history, with the addition of McCall, real estate worth an estimated $6 million, and the company retained ownership of. I later sold McCall at a 90-to-1 return, resulting in tremendous profit for investors. In 1987, I bought Beatrice International Foods for Beatrice Companies for $985 million, renaming it TLC Beatrice International, a snack food, beverage, and grocery conglomerate that was the largest African-American owned managed business in the U.S. When TLC Beatrice reported revenue of $1.8 billion in 1987, it became the first black-owned company to have more than $1 billion in annual sales. At its peak of 1996, TLC Beatrice International Holding Corporation had sales of $2.2 billion and was number 512 on the Fortune magazine list of top 1,000 largest companies. In 1987, a founding in my name which funded grants of approximately $10 million to various nonprofit programs and organizations. My first major grant was unsolicited in $1 million to Harvard University in 1988. The federal government matched the grant, making the gift to Harvard University $2 million, which was used to fund an endowment for scholarships, fellowships, and faculty sabbaticals. In 1992, I donated $3 million to Harvard Law School, and the largest grant at the time in law school's history. In gratitude, the school renamed its International Law Center after me, the first major facility at Harvard named in honor of African Americans. I made it known a desire to support the Museum of African American Culture in 2005. The Museum of Maryland African American History and Culture opened to the support of $5 million in grant money from my foundation. It is the East Coast's largest African American museum, occupying 82,000 square foot facility with the permanent and special exhibition space, interactive learning environment, auditorium, resource center, oral history recording studio, classrooms, meeting centers, outside terrace, and reception areas. It highlights the history and accomplishments of African Americans with a special focus of Maryland's African American community, named after me. The museum is also a Smithsonian affiliate. My name is Reginald F. Lewis, and I died at the age of 50 from brain cancer. My wife, Nicholas Lewis, currently serves as chair and CEO of TLC Beatrice International, a $2 billion multinational food company with operations all across Europe.
Our next historian is Brother Jonathan Hanson.
Good morning. I was born under the name of Edward Kennedy in Washington, D.C. of 1899. As a kid, I had this certain classy way about me, and I just loved to dress in suit jackets and ties. So people started calling me Dude. I loved baseball, but my mother insisted I play the piano, and I hated it. At age 15, I started sneaking in pool halls, listening to the performing acts. It was there I discovered my passion for the piano. By age 17, I had formed my first band, bringing home 75 cents on October, for 75 cents on October. Later in life, I became to be one of the greatest African American composers for a 50 plus year career. I'm Miguel.
The 5th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act speech will be given by our next historian, Lenise Robinson.
Members of Good Hope, my fellows in Christ, good morning. The topic of my speech is the 50th anniversary of the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the impact on American society. When the founders of America created and signed the Constitution, when the Bill of Rights was created, perhaps none of them believed that in the future it would apply to other people besides the white males that owned land centuries after its concept. Well, none of them expected the Constitution to last for more than 20 years as soon as I found out. But it did, and after countless lives were restored to appeal for everyone in the country, it finally included the common man, and I'm glad of that. I am pleased to be alive in this day and age where I can share the same school with a white person and not garner unwanted attention. I'm glad that I do not have to worry about that. And I'm glad that I can sit in front of the bus freely if I wanted to. Although to be honest, I hate buses, but the availability is enough. But enough of that. We're here to do one thing, to celebrate the Civil Rights Act's 50th anniversary. The Civil Rights Act was created after years of suppression of African, Hispanic, and other races that simply were not the ideal color, ending discrimination and opening up a new world of opportunities. The results are satisfying. Schools have been integrated. There is no more lynching or fear of going out in public, and the Black community is encouraged to interact with others of the other race. America has become more unified because of the act. But sometimes, every now and then, I see the negative side of the act. Some people might view what I'm about to say as unnecessary, uncalled for, unimportant even, but I'll say it anyways. I think that we take the Civil Rights Act and our struggle for it for granted. Usually when we hear the word civil rights, we get this strong emotion for pride and joy. But nowadays, some blacks and other races has felt this need to wave it in the faces of others and use it for their own advantage. Things like white-on-black crime pop up and rile everyone up to the point where they see hatred and discrimination in places that really aren't there. While black-on-black crime is ignored. Certain civil rights activists that used to help us get where we are now turn and cause trouble for us. All they have to do is just put up the face of a person from a different race harming one of our own, and suddenly they're sparks. This causes black relations with other races to diminish. Even worse is the fact that some of us are even questioning whether or not blacks are really black at all. If you didn't share our history, slavery, civil rights, etc., then you weren't black. And with that reasoning, President Obama, he isn't our first black president. In a way, we possibly become easier to control. It's easier for us to get to react the way a person wants us to react, just by simply raising the race card. And that has divided us as well. I leave you with this thought. What would you be doing with your civil rights? Thank you for taking time to listen to my speech, and I bid you a good day.